Hi everyone, in this video I'm gonna go over Strands Agents and to show you how does it fit with MCP architecture, or mainly how Strands Agent connect with MCP servers. Now if you are not familiar with the Strands Agents, it's completely okay. It just released last month, or I would say become open source last month. It's been used by Amazon internal teams for a while now. The solution is very stable. And the main part about this is like how easy it is. So if you go to look into their welcome page, and they have given this 3-liners, and literally this is what you need to get started with the Strands, and you can create your agent in just 3 lines. Now the questions definitely, oh, where are we defining LLM model which we are using, and other configurations, if it's just 3 lines. So by default, it comes with Amazon Bedrock and Claude 3.7, but it does not mean that it's gonna be just using these. It also support other model providers, and you can see there's a huge list of model provider it supports. So it's very flexible and quite easy to use. So let's go into the coding. I'm pretty sure you're gonna read this documentation after this, and this is a site which you should go and read more about it. But in this demo, I want you to set up agent and connect with MCP server to start playing around with it. So I'm gonna go and click quick start here. In a quick setup, we can see there's an installation guide for the SDK. One thing to note, at this point it only supports Python, although I do see a request for Node in their GitHub repo, so probably they will be releasing something soon for Node setup as well. So for this demo, I'm going to be using Python. So let's go and start up a setup. I'm going to be, I already have a solution, like just a folder, and which is called Strands demo. So first thing we're gonna do, we're gonna create a environment for us. Now once the environment is created, what we're gonna do, we're gonna activate the environment to install all of our dependencies. Now choose your command based on your OS which you're using. I have Mac at this point, and so once you have activated your environment, let's go install all the dependencies. So the one thing which you need to install is Strands Agents. Now while installing, let's go and see what is the next step. The next step, it is asking to get tools. Now this is something, if you want to use inbuilt tools of Strands, you can use that, and also I think so it will help you to create your own tools. So let's okay. Now once we have all the dependencies installed, one thing they are talking about configuration your AWS credentials. If you don't have AWS CLI installed, I would recommend just go and do it. There are multiple videos for that. If you have any questions, comment down below, and I'm gonna create a small demo for that as well. I do have a CLI setup in my machine, so I'm gonna skip that part and move to the next one. Now here they are saying that we should have, not we should have, but that's what they are following. So they have a folder, and then they have an init, agent, and requirement file. So let's go and create something similar. So I'm just gonna have and maybe, yeah, let's say something does not matter actually. And then you have an init file. Okay. Now, and then you have agent.py, and then you have requirements. And then you have requirements.txt. Now, once we have done that, first thing they are saying, just in the requirement file, put all the dependencies. So let me rename this. Now the dependencies are listed. Next thing, update your init file. Okay, so this is the code block which they have given. Let me copy this, and I'm gonna go over this with you guys. Now, although this looks more than 3 lines, what they have promised or shown initially, but if you look into this code, there is actually multiple things they are trying to do here or show here. First thing is, yes, you have all your dependencies. So this is the first 2 lines are gone there. Now, majority of the code is basically where they have defined a tool. So you have seen in MCP, when we create a server and we define a tool, we have a process. We initialize the server, we attach a tool to it. In Strands, they are saying if you want to define a tool, you just append or just annotate with the tool attribute. Now, once you have that, it will be counted as a tool. Now, how does your agent understand about the tool is from the description. So be more descriptive. Your argument should have descriptions and return type as well. Now, that's what this part is doing here. The next part is just initialization of the agent. Now you see it has multiple tools. Now all those are right now inbuilt tool, and they are trying to show that one of the tool they just created and the agent is passed to the agent. So agent should be capable of doing this, which is basically count occurrence of a specific letter in a word. And then they have shown a message. So a message consists of 4 questions basically, which is saying, asking about the time, some calculation, counting letters, which should use this letter count tool. And then they have this another Python application, which is basically should write the script for you. So this is let's see what else. What is the next? This is a high level design diagram which I have shown. So once the input comes, basically a reasoning LLM will be invoked, decide the tool, execute the tool, and then spit the output as a response. This is very similar to MCP client, actually what we have seen earlier. And now once we have that, so let's copy this command which they have and test it. Let me clear my logs. Let's see, run this. Let me increase the size. All right, so here we can see that for each question it is selecting a specific tool. So that actually shows us how the tools is being used by this agent. So for example, the question which is asking for time, it went for current time tool, and then calculator. Similarly, this is what we created, letter count, and this is the last one, Python script. There's another tool. So it is able to identify the tools. It is based on the user intent and redirecting it and handling that response. Now, once we are done with this, let's go to our main objective, is to see if we have MCP servers available with us, can this agent connect with those MCP servers? So let me exit this, and then we're gonna go over our MCP server connection. Now to connect with the MCP server, you should have a server running in your machine. Now I do have a connection. Now to connect with the MCP server, you should have a server running in your machine. Now I do have a server running. This is a solution I already created in the previous videos, but if you don't have, just go ahead, set up any MCP server. It does not matter what language you are selecting, because so you can have a server in Node, and still the solution which you have developed in Python, which is your Strand agent, should be able to communicate with it. And that's what I'm gonna do it now. I do have a solution or server up which is able to connect with external weather API, and this tells the weather of the city based on the city code or name. There's a server, and it has mainly 2 tools at this point. One is get alerts, weather alerts, and the second one is forecast. So I'm gonna be trying to connect with this existing server with our newly created Strands agent. So before that, let me run this server. So at this point, server is hosted in 3001 at localhost. And next we're gonna go to our agent code and then see how we can connect that. Before we go to the code, let's see their documentation, what they are telling about MCP tools or MCP server connection. Now, if you go under tools and click on MCP, model control context protocol, they have different ways by which strands can connect to MCP servers. Now, again, one way is simple studio client, where you give path of your server in your local machine. This is good for your local connection, but when you deploy, it won't work. Or if you're running both server and client in the same machine, yeah, this will work, and this is a good solution. The next is you have a server hosted somewhere in a remote, and then you're trying to connect with it. This is what we're gonna do right now. So we have seen that we have in 3001 instead of 8000. So we're gonna just change this and then see we will be able to get weather detail with that server or not. The other is with SEC event. So it is similar. You host somewhere, you expose those endpoints, and you can connect with your agent. And the last one they have, you can define your own custom protocol to connect with MCP server. Other important thing to note, like it does not limit you to connect with one MCP server. You can define as many as you want, and this is the example which they are trying to show here. So now we have seen and we know what we need to do is, so let's go and copy this part. So first thing, we're gonna go and use this, and actually let me copy everything and then go there. So now once we are in our agent, and we don't need this tool, and probably what we can do is just replace this part. Awesome. Okay, and now with this message, we don't have to ask this question. We can have our own custom for weather. And one thing we should change is 301. And now before we run this, let's see this code, what they are trying to do. First, they have they initialized this MCP client and give the address for our MCP server. Once that is there, within that we call this list tools sync, which should give us all the tools available with that hosted MCP server, and those tools are just passed into the agent, and that's it. So now we have all the code here. Let's run and see if everything works as expected. So it is able to get forecast tool, but I did receive some error. Synchronization. It seems it is able to get the coordinates and everything, but interesting. Oh, okay. So the agent call is outside the scope. Let me just put it here and then try again. Okay, so now let's see. Perfect. So now you can see it is calling that MCP server, which is hosted in a different port, basically hosted in 301, and that is a MCP server, completely different language, and our agent can communicate with it. The only change which we make is like we to make it work, we give the port or the address and pass those tools with the list tools into our agent, and our strand agent is able to understand those tools and give us the response. So yeah, play around with this. If you have any questions, just comment down below, and we will see what next we can do with this. Thank you, everyone.